Hi, in this video we're going to talk about the ornament in the Leave Your Light On pattern. In your pattern you have a template for the ornament. And in fact it's two different templates. There is one for your interfacing and the lining of your ornament, and then one for the outside fabric. Now, you can just cut the paper out if you want to, or you can trace this onto template plastic and cut it out, whichever you want to do. I've put a little note on my template plastic reminding me that when I trace, I want to trace this side up. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut your template out, and you're going to trace it on the wrong side of your outside fabric. So this would be the fabric that would be on the outside of the ornament. The next step is you're going to trace the second template to the interfacing and to your lining. And on your lining will be facing right side up, not wrong side up. It's good to use these foam core boards because you can pin right through, whether you have a paper template or a plastic template, you can pin right through, and so it keeps the fabric in place as well as your template, and then you can just trace around. Now on the fabric and the lining, you want to cut your windows out. On the outside, you do not have to. You're also going to cut, according to the pattern directions, outside fabric, interfacing, and lining fabric for your roof. And here's the little ornament that you're going to be making. The next step, once you've got all these pieces cut out, you're going to be fusing the outside fabric to the lining. So just take your outside fabric. You're going to try and center that on your your interfacing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you've got enough to fold over the edges to the inside of the interfacing, that should be good. When you iron your template on, position it with the interfacing right side up, and then flip it over very carefully so you don't move anything around, and then iron it. You'll notice that I have parchment paper on this little ironing board, and you'll want to make sure that you have either parchment paper or a Teflon ironing sheet down on your ironing surface. Turn it over, and then like we did on the house, we're going to open up our windows, and that's just cutting an X and then folding the fabric back. And I am using one of these little craft irons to iron each edge of the window to the interfacing. Now this interfacing is double-sided, so that fuses right down. You'll also want to fold over and iron each edge to the interfacing. Now in some of the corners you're going to clip, some of them you're actually going to have a couple layers of fabric, so just fold that over, and that's not going to be fused down, so you just want to press it. Just hold it and press it a little bit so it's neatly folded in your corners. Once you've finished all of your folding over, your piece is going to look like this. The next step is we're going to be fusing the lining to the inside to cover all of this up. And to help the lining stay fused, we are going to add some fusible tape all the way around the edge. And you can use either Steam-A-Seam, or we like Bosel's Splendid tape. It's actually, we find it very easy to apply, and that's what this is right here. So all you're doing is you're just ironing that tape on, and then you will remove it. I find that if you use tweezers, you can remove the paper very easily, like this, and then your web stays attached to your project. So on the lining, when you cut the lining out of your fabric, you want to cut a little in from the lines. So this is your template, and you want to cut it a little narrower, so cut it on the inside of these lines. And for the windows, you want to cut the windows out on the outside of those lines. That way, when you go to put it on the inside, you're not, your fabric isn't going to go over the edge. Once you've done this, you're just going to fuse that down, and it should fuse very nicely because you've put that extra tape on there. And I'll show you what that will look like. So this is a piece where we fused the lining to the inside. The next step is just like the house, we're going to put either template, plastic, or paper in the windows. Just place your paper on the inside. You want to pin it with the pin heads facing out, because you'll sew that paper on, or the template plastic on, very, very close to the edge on the outside. But you want to be able to remove your pins as you're sewing. So make sure your pins are very flat and they're facing out. Once you've done that, I'm going to remove these two pins. The next step is you want to score. On the template, you'll notice some dashed lines. Those are the fold lines. And what I find the easiest to do is to take a Clover Choco Liner. It has a little wheel, and when you run that wheel along those lines, it will score the interfacing. It'll just make it easier to fold. So then you're going to fold your little house, your little ornament up. And just like we did on the house, we're going to pin straight through. And I do the sides. Now I'm not going to pin all the way around like I would if I were normally doing this sewing. I'm just showing you here. I'm going to pin the house together, and then I'm going to fold the bottom up, fold the floor up, and pin that on. And you'll pin right through the interfacing, right through the edge and right up through the interfacing. Burying your, you want to bury your needles in the interfacing so that you don't get pricked by them. So I would pin that a little bit more than that. Once you've done that, then you're going to sew all the way around, and you've got 3 sides on the bottom and 1 side to sew. The very last piece is you'll make your roof. You'll put a piece of ribbon on the center of your roof. You'll score the center seam, and then you're going to pin that to the peak. And you're going to sew both peaks by hand. That's it. Enjoy.